All the way from Detroit. My name is Chris Young. Before pivoting into cybersecurity, I've been in SEO for about 20 years, been doing global consulting on this in the local lead generation space, which is more driven purpose to expand digital footprints for businesses. And today we're going to be hyper-focusing on the action points. Now, I'm not one of those big fans of going into a topic and going through this lecture process in the academic space where it's like, here is a hammer. Let's talk about what a hammer does and what it's made out of before we actually talk about what the hell it's going to do. Okay? I like action points. But that being said, we're going to talk a little broad scope about some of the aspects of SEO, because if you don't know how to rank a website to the top of Google in the lean way that I approach it, you're not going to understand the second half of how to actually protect against the vulnerabilities we're going to talk about, okay? So I am not the best at public speaking. But the good news is Luke Canfield and another wonderful gentleman helped me to co-found a group over in the Simply Cyber Discord with Dr. Gerald Ogier. And on the last Tuesday of every single month, we actually talk about public speaking. There's an opportunity for you to go ahead and participate. You can come and network. You can experiment, give a short talk if you want. You can also give a longer talk if you're getting ready for a public speaking environment, a cyber conference much like this. I haven't seen anybody else do this in the cybersecurity community. I have a background in communication, emergency communication. I have a communication studies degree, did research in computer-mediated communication, helped me to pivot into cybersecurity. And I've also been a performance artist. I've actually started touring the nation at the age of 14. So being in front of large audiences, being in front of not so large audiences, even using the word audience as opposed to audiences, like a lot of little nuances there. But keeping it at a high enough level for you to actually get some action out of this, I'm really excited to bring this to the community as a volunteer initiative. So you can come in and you can help critique other people. We have a little form that you can fill out so it's still zeroed in and focused. Or you can actually experiment. If you want to do an impromptu talk, which actually happens a lot more often at cyber conferences than you might think, maybe a speaker doesn't show up and they're like, oh, we need to fill a spot. Are you available? If you start coming here, eventually you're going to have a little hip pocket talk that you can say, you know what, I got something for you. And you'll be amazed how you might actually get some public speaking time just by having something in your pocket and available. So we want to make this available to you and let you know that this happens on the last Tuesday of every single month. And oftentimes, I end up giving a talk that's hyper-focused on how to upskill in public speaking. So I wanted to make sure that you had that available. So as we get into the meat and taters of this talk, I wanted you to know that we're going to dive into how to ninja kick not only the competition, because we're in a capitalist market, but also how to ninja kick the bad guys away from the company. Quick disclaimer, this may skyrocket success. This is not a guarantee. For those of you who understand SEO or have done it in some way, shape, or form, I understand there's multiple ways to make something happen. I'm showing you what has worked for me and worked multiple times in different markets across the globe. This is a very lean down version of the best way I can deliver it to say, you know what, here's your short action points, go ahead and try this. And believe it or not, just with a couple tweaks, companies have actually had massive success in terms of ranking to the top of Google. I already know. Nobody cares where they're ranked in Google, okay? Not one person I've ever talked to in my years of doing this. But everyone wants the results from being at the top of Google, which is ringing phone, more calls, more attention, and more opportunities to close more deals. So for the companies who are at the top of search and they love the results that come from here, another company hires me, now they're no longer the top player. You think they're going to be upset that their bottom line is not what they once thought it was? What about if there's a bad guy coming in and now interrupting all of those things? That's what we're talking about here. We're going to explore not only the 3 things that are going to rank you to the top of search, but then ways that other people attack it and what you can do about it, okay? So in the end, you know, a lot of people try to do fancy things. And we're not interested in the fancy stuff. A lot of people tend to be, but at the end of the day, keeping it simple is really going to make a positive difference, okay? Now I understand, you know, there's going to be technical stuff on the back end. And there's plenty of opportunity for you to dig in deeper on the back end and try and understand what all is going to happen, such as ports, traffic, information coming in and out. If you're not using the port, maybe close it, right? Part of the cybersecurity angle. But there's an opportunity for you to try and convey information. But if there's a lot of other people in the marketplace that are saying, here's a little trick, here's a little secret for you to try and do something, and you listen, I'm not here to sell you secrets. I'm here to tell you what has worked repeatedly every single time. So, if this is for you, cool. If it's not for you, feel free to listen anyway. You might pick up a gem or two. Why am I qualified to speak about this? Well, first off, it takes a community. And these are a bunch of cybersecurity professionals that I've actually directly worked with or interacted with in some way, shape, or form. I have a lot of credentials. If you're really interested and you only value people based on their credentials, yes, I have some. Who cares? I'm more interested in what action points I can give you to take away into whatever it is you're doing. I also own a digital marketing agency. And yes, I've ranked my own properties to the top of Google. I practice what I preach. And as of July 30th of last year, because that's when I made this talk and I haven't updated it yet, I found my website that I haven't touched for 7 or 8 years still in the top of the marketplace. Now, time out. Okay, I'm talking about getting to the top of search, and my website is not at the top of search. I haven't touched it for 7 or 8 years. Okay, Chris, is that a juxtaposition? Maybe. But think about this. In cybersecurity, you haven't touched something for 7 or 8 years. That's a problem. I think we can agree with that. But in the digital marketing space, I haven't touched something for 7 or 8 years. Is that a testament to other people not knowing what they're doing? Or is that a testament that I know what I'm talking about, and it still stands the test of time? I'll leave that for you to decide. I've also done this with YouTube videos. Now, it's getting harder and harder to rank YouTube videos in the top of search results. And YouTube has made Google has made a lot of changes. So if you do some searches and you don't see the YouTube videos like what you see in my talk, that's okay. Things change all the time. At the end of the day, my pattern that you're going to learn today still stands the test of time. I've been talking about it since 2016 publicly. And these 3 items still work. So yeah, we're going back to the NIST cybersecurity framework, and we're talking about the 5 different aspects: identity, identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover. I understand there's a new version, there's govern, but this is just simple enough to talk about, okay? And in the middle here, you have this little boom, a cybersecurity incident. We're going to be talking about things on the left-hand side. Some of this can delve into the right-hand side, but let's just see how this goes, okay? You can judge me later. Buy me a monster or don't buy me a monster. I'm still happy that you're here and gaining the information, okay? So here are the goals. We're going to talk about the aspects that actually rank a website to the top of Google. Having a mobile responsive website, obviously having that SSL, TLS, just secure the stupid website, okay? Just get it out of the way. It's not rocket science to get it done. And then the 3 things here are content, backlinks, and citations. If you want to get up and leave, and this is what you came for, this is the TLDR. This is it. Know how to implement them, know how to fortify and protect against damage to these, and that's my talk. But if I don't change the way that you're thinking about this or looking at this, then this talk is for nothing. So that's what the rest of this time is going to be about, is understanding exactly what this means, and then how to fortify it in terms of cyber resilience. Because it's no longer an issue in this day and age of being secure. I don't think anything is secure. You can disagree with that, that's okay. But I'm more interested in your ability to recover and keep things moving forward. Even if a website comes down and you got to start over from scratch, which sometimes happens, or it gets pulled out of Google and you got to start over again from scratch with a new website, a new web domain. Do what you got to do. Just keep it moving forward. So we have goal number 1, just get a mobile responsive website, start implementing these strategies. And like I said, I've practiced what I preach. 2 is all about cyber resilience. And I use this image of military personnel having all of your angles of your attack vectors, your sectors of fire, however you want to identify them if you've been in the military before. You're not going to be around 100% of the time. You're not going to be able to cover every single angle. You got to sleep sometime, okay? And even when SOC is working around the clock saying, hey, we got to be watching for these things all the time, you can still have business continuity when something happens in the marketing place. But why is this talk still important? Because websites are in a computer. What does an executive understand? Hey, that's in the computer. Something's wrong with it. Fix it. What are you going to tell them? That's not my job? It's on a server. You handle servers. Fix the darn thing. I'm inviting you to start exploring a little bit deeper and saying, you know what, maybe I have the tools after this talk to be able to try and help something in the event that your golden gem of a website that's generating leads and helping the company's bottom line, if that goes away, are you prepared to actually help with that? So why should you care? Well, I've actually helped a company get multiple spots in the top of search results, and it's resulted in 169 calls in 31 days. Another different industry, 227 calls. How about multiple contact form submissions? Not just on the homepage or contact page, but on the about page or special offers page. What I'm saying is have a contact form. This is going into conversion rate optimization. Yes, it's not cybersecurity. But if your website is not being taken care of by somebody who understands a little bit of security, that lead form is not going to be there, which means that's a reduction in lead forms, that's a reduction in leads, that's a reduction in sales, probably a reduction in the cybersecurity fund. So let's just think about that as we go forward. And yes, I'm going to go moving quick on this. I have about 189 slides in total for this talk. But understand that as we go through what is going to rank a website to the top of Google, this is an online conversation. And you're going to be drafting content for two audiences. Number one, the Google algorithm. Yes, Google does not sponsor this talk, but I'm still talking about it because it's still the 800-pound gorilla that's going to be utilized for a lot of businesses. And if businesses are not using the Google Business Profile, that is a problem. It's another sector that you can bring to your executives and say, hey, we're not building this, we need to. Just FYI. So this online conversation is not just for your target audience for the business, it's also for the Google algorithm. Because once you get the algorithm on your website side and you start ranking to the top of search, then we can focus on the people in the audience that are going to be looking at it. So let's get started. And I'm going to be going quick. Just stay with me, okay? Ideally, I would like to have some time at the end for Q&A, but if we don't, buy me a Monster later. Okay, so we start with the foundational idea. I like to compare this to real estate. We have the property that you're going to build your website on or build your house on. That's web hosting. You build your website on there, but it still needs an address for everyday down-home Americans, for example, to be able to go check this out. And then the simple art of SEO is how you get it in front of the web traffic that is walking down the street, so to speak. Following? And then to secure this, you use SSL. So I already know we're now using TLS, okay? So SSL, the S there marries with that HTTPS. So I speak with this language, and I still use SSL to make it easy for business owners and executives to marry those two ideas. HTTPS, SSL, SS, link up, makes sense, secure, we're good. So for the rest of this conversation, we're going to be referring to it as SSL. Don't hate me, just accept that this is how I approach it, and it makes a lot of sense for business executives as well. This talk actually came about because John Strand made a public complaint saying, I wish I had a talk that I could leverage to invite more business owners to the conferences. I wrote this, I drafted this talk, and it got rejected a few times. I'm like, I'm done with this. Well, somebody talked me into keep trying, keep trying to submit this talk. Somebody's going to be interested. Turns out I'm actually giving this same talk 3 more times in the next 2 weeks. This is clearly in high demand. So maybe there's some value here to this. It's food for thought. And I understand at the back end, you're going to be changing some things. So if you're setting a lock for your website, you're going to be shifting from port 80 to port 443. I'm letting you know, I understand there's stuff on the back end here, okay? This back end stuff, yes, it's important. It matters. But we're still going to look at the marketing stuff first before we start talking about the vulnerabilities. So, little timeline here. Back in 2010, I deployed to Afghanistan. There's my little smug face right there. And in 2010, I let go of a flip phone. I come back 9 months later, not because I was pregnant. I came back 9 months later because that was the end of tour. And I go to pick up a cell phone. I see the first generation Droid of Verizon store. And no, Verizon's also not sponsoring this. But basically, this timeline was interesting to me because now it made these flip phones start becoming more and more obsolete, less and less utilized. So they kind of went on a almost permanent vacation at this point. So now we're using smartphones. 5 years later, give or take, Google comes out with this dynamic moment that they called Mobilegeddon, and basically said, you need to have a mobile responsive website. It has to look good and be accessible on all these different devices. This affected over 40% of the richest companies in the world who said, you know what, I'm the top dog, you can't knock me down. and then they got knocked down. They're no longer the top player. What the hell happened? Google had an update, and that's where a lot of people were utilizing to try and find a service that they were looking for. So tip number one is to make sure that you have a mobile responsive website. You can go to a tool like mi.responsivedesign.is, I think it's called. Just type in "Am I responsive" to Google search, find it. It's not a perfect tool, but maybe you can check. Or just do a drag and drop on your window. See if everything shrinks down or some of the content is actually going to cut off on the web page so the words are not, changing sizing to the mobile device. Just take a look at the website. That's all I'm inviting you to do. Now, we're going to shift over to one of the three major ranking factors, which is called content. You do a search for just about anything on the World Wide Web. Could be elephants. In this case, it's Mike Tyson, a boxer. What's the number one thing that usually always shows up? It's Wikipedia. Why? Well, I just scrolled down and I took screenshots, put them all together to say, hey, look at this entire page. What's going on here? We have a lot of content talking about this specific subject. Wikipedia has just regarded themselves as the authority in Google's eyes because there's more content on the page. Back in 2017, give or take, the company with the most words on the page became the authority. Now the game has changed. You have to have more optimized content. What does that mean? Just be more subject matter relevant. Be the authority. If you're in a roofing company, talk about specific, governing agencies, licensing bodies. Get specific with your content so you are branded the authority. That's the best I can say in the most simplest way for this, okay? So take a cue from Wikipedia. Google has actually said this openly, okay? They said give visitors the information they're looking for. I blew this up. Hopefully you can see it in a little bit better view. It said provide high quality content on your pages, especially your homepage. Google takes the time out of their day to take this a step further to say this is the single most important thing to do. So if Google is telling you put more content on your page, take the hint. I've actually practiced this with a website. This website is live online. You can pull out your phone right now and do this. You can check me. Pool deck marketing, and this shows up. Now, there might be, if you do a search right now, you might see some ads, but the top organic spot is this website. Guess what it is? It's just a sales letter. It's a long-form sales letter. It's still mobile responsive, and yes, I've secured it. Like I said, I practice what I preach. It's about 1,400 words, excluding the lead form and maybe some nuanced stuff like terms pages and whatnot. It's about 1,400 words. And I'm still the top player in the marketplace ever since 2019. So tip number 2 is make sure you have content. So what do we cover so far? Mobile responsive website, content on your web pages. Look, this actually worked by putting more content in the body where a lot of people put their links underneath a YouTube video. This worked well for a while. Unfortunately, Google still updates things, and this is no longer a viable action. But it did work once upon a time. So it's cool to see that there are other places that you can put content to try and work an angle. I still encourage you to give it a try. I think you can put 5,000 characters underneath a YouTube video in their description. All I'm saying is give it a try. Just experiment with it. That's what I enjoy doing, is experimenting with something like this, because it's interesting to me. Bonus tip. These are some things you need to write down. Your page title, which is the highlighted part here. So you have page title and page description under here, okay? Page title, which says Grant Cardone - 10x your business, 10x your income. I'm not here to advertise this guy. I think he's in sales. I think he thinks he's a big shot or something. He has this little ellipses here at the end. What does this mean? You are probably not going to get maximum credit. Now, this is a very subjective thing. Just for transparency, the founders of Google, this rank brain thing, they came out publicly and said, yeah, we don't know how it works. So if they don't know how it works, how the hell do I know how it works? I probably don't. But I can take an educated guess based on having been in this for 20 years. I've been working on content while other people were trying to play a game that you're going to learn about in a moment called backlinking. And content has still outperformed the competition time and time again. I did this for a tree service company, and they actually ranked higher in a couple weeks. So the updating of the algorithm, when it comes back, it takes like 10 to 21, sometimes 28 days or longer. But give it a shot, monitor it for about 2 or 3 weeks, and see if there's any change there. So number one, make the page title subject matter relevant. And then number two, make sure that it's under 55 characters or less, including spaces. Okay? Page description. Yes, this is no longer a ranking factor. It was back in 2013, 2015, somewhere around there. But it's still a conversion factor. You still want people who are looking at your page listing to find out what it's about and what they're going to get by clicking on there. So it's still a conversion factor to engage people to click on it, okay? So we've already covered content. Now we're going to talk about something called a backlink. Google has already talked about backlinking as well, and we're going to look at that in a moment. We already know what a backlink is. It's highlighted text that when you click on it, it takes you somewhere else on the World Wide Web. Not a fancy concept, nothing groundbreaking. But if you're on this page on Mike Tyson and you click on a link for Michael Spinks, I think it is, that I highlighted here, it's just clickable text. It takes you to another page on the World Wide Web. Doesn't matter that it's Wikipedia as well, it's just page A, page B. Google interprets this whole situation as a vote. That's all they're saying in this humongous text. You get a backlink from some place that takes you to your landing page or your website or wherever you're trying to rank. It could even be an internal service page. If you want attention on there, get a backlink to it. So with Google understanding that this page links to this page, again, nothing groundbreaking. Link a page to another page. Ask somebody else to link to the page. Pay them $10 for a year to link to the page. But there's a special methodical way that you need to do it. It's just basically this backlink optimized portfolio. And we're going to get into why that is right now. Pre-2013, give or take, Google, this SEO game was all about the people with the most backlinks won. Google got a patent roughly 2007 to 2013. I'm still having trouble looking it up. It's been a while since I've talked about it. But they now started to assign value to the backlinking that you have. How does that change the game? When I got into this, roughly 2003, 2004, person with the most backlinks won. So you just get a flood of backlinks. Then people start making tools to optimize getting backlinks. You could flood like 2,000 backlinks to a single website. Doesn't work anymore. You now need a diversified backlink portfolio. This is actually going to be a vulnerability that we're going to talk about later, so remember this game. It's no longer about a volume of backlinks. You can go to a tool called Majestic. No, they're not sponsoring this. Type in your web address here, and then you can see some of these metrics. We're not going to jump down a rabbit hole too deep, but there are some things that we need to understand. The right item we're going to look at first here. It's called citation flow. Now, understand, these are scores, okay? These numbers are just scores from 0 to 100 or 99, okay? Citation flow is just an assessment of how many backlinks you actually have coming to the website. This is not a count. This company doesn't have 37 backlinks. It's a score assessment of the volume of links you have coming in. The left one, where it says trust flow, that's the value you're getting out of those backlinks. Not all backlinks are created equal. That's a significant factor when we start talking about vulnerabilities here in a moment, okay? Not all backlinks are created equal. What does that mean? You're going to have some low value, some no value, some high value. You start doing this too perfectly, we're going to have a problem, or your company is going to have a problem, okay? So you got to diversify your backlink portfolio. Here's one of the ways that you do it. Scroll down on this tool after you've ran a free search. You're going to see something called anchor text. And you look here, you see a listing of several different things. Don't worry, we'll blow this up a moment. Do you see any common traits from these highlighted ones? Well, you have the domain, grantcardone.com. You have no www dot in the middle there. It's just HTTPS. It's the full URL almost. And then you have the subdomain underneath that, www.grantcardone.com or domain.com. Here's it a little bit bigger if you couldn't see it. So tip number 3 is diversify your anchor text, which is all the backlinks that you're getting. You can ask that a certain kind of language be highlighted. This is anchor text. It's the words that they're actually going to see before they click on that to send over to a new website. So if it was Michael Spinks, make sure the language says Michael Spinks, or variations of what you're trying to rank for with Michael Spinks. It could even be a longer language statement like Michael Spinks is this world-class, I don't know, whatever he did. I don't know who this guy is. I just use it as an example. So you want to vary your anchor text. But what does that mean for your URL? When you go to evaluate your company's website or your own website that you want to rank, if you have a portfolio website that you want to get more attention to, make sure that this variety here, you have domain, you have this number 4 one right here, https:// without the www dot, or the www underneath there, number 5. This is a computer. The computer is evaluating your online presence. Marry this up by having a full display with your URL. So, what am I referring to? https:// add the www dot. A lot of people don't do this, and they've still had a lot of success. My practice is make it so domain simple, okay, that if you start putting anchor text with a www dot on it, the online algorithm, the computer that's evaluating this, has no other option but to say, you know what? That makes sense because you have a www dot here. I'm just making link ideas back and forth, okay? So these are all pointing to this because each of these anchor texts, the clickable text that you've gotten from other backlinks, from other websites, they all point to this, and at some point they see this in the URL. That's what I'm recommending, okay? Now I also want to give you one little bonus tip here. Look at the rest of the website and see what the URL is about. And I'm not using a pun here, okay? I'm using the about page as an example. /about, how is every single web page finishing in the URL? Is it .html? Is there no .html? Are some of them across the website inconsistent with this? All I'm saying is get consistent with the pattern. Starting to see a pattern about consistency here? Content, backlinks, so on and so forth, okay? Make sure you have the full web address, and then make sure everything is consistent across the board, especially at the tail end of your URLs, all across the website, as you see here. Fast forwarding to one final item, we're going to talk about citations, but if you see a chart like this, chances are it's not ideal, right? Okay, there's a lot of red there that is missing. A lot of it is incorrect, but there's no correctness. I think anybody sees this chart anywhere, they can say, this is not a good thing. I think we need to fix this up, okay? Should this be fixed? I'm not even going to ask for a show of hands. I think we can all agree yes. So what this is the idea of going out to third-party websites and getting your website listed, your business listed on the World Wide Web. So you see Yelp as a business listing, Bing Maps, Google Business Profile, so on and so forth. There's Facebook business pages. These are called citations. A company called Moz, just so you think I'm not just talking at you, there's another reference here, people are talking about this. What is a local business citation? Any online mention of a business's name, address, and phone number, what they call NAP, okay, if you really want to get fun with acronyms and be technical, but it's basically name, address, and phone number and a lot of other aspects that you want to be consistent across the World Wide Web on. And these can be found on local business directories like we've looked at, websites and apps, or even social media platforms, hence a Facebook business page, okay? So you have to go through this process one by one by one. You have to go and claim an account, which is going to take some time. Some platforms are pretty quick, and you can go claim an account, not a big deal. The next step is you have to build out your portfolio or your profile and submit it for approval. Some of them are going to call you and try and get a sales call because they want to speak to a business owner. This is going to take some time, but it's a worthwhile investment because you start getting citations, you start getting powerful with your online presence, and as a result, some of these can actually start showing up on the first page of Google search. So let's say you're a tree service company, or you're doing cybersecurity for a tree service company. You start getting some of these listings, they might show up underneath in the top 10 organic search results. Might be a good thing because if you start painting the entire first page only your company, what are the chances that the people who are looking for services are only going to be calling your company? They don't have another option. A lot of them are not going to go to the second page of Google search to look for another service provider. Just a thought. So make sure you start with a Google business profile. And then when you go back to these listings, I want you to marry as close as possible the pattern that you have in the Google business profile, name, address, phone number, website, everything that's there. Try to match it as close as possible to all these other places. I actually go out of my way to list 300 of the best bang for your buck locations. And if you stay to the end, I'm going to give you a nice little listing. It's actually over 500. So stick with me. You're going to get that resource absolutely free today. So we agree this is not ideal. And you want to actually do a good job. So I actually audited Grant Cardone for this talk. That chart that you saw right here, this was actually his online presence. And I think he's like really wealthy now. I'm not here to advertise the guy. I'm just here to let you know, like, he's doing well without this. Well, imagine how much better you could be if you had this. How much better he could be if he had all these things in place. So tip number 4 is do your citations. Cite your business. When you were doing papers in high school or college for some of you, and you had to do references at the bottom, this is the online business version of references. Reference your business with citations. Cite, C-I-T-E, outstanding idea, right? Not groundbreaking. So we've talked about content, backlinks, and citations with the obvious mobile responsive website and a secure website. Now understanding those, we're going to talk about the vulnerabilities that are associated with those. So roughly 2018, Google came out with saying, you know what, we've changed our ranking factors. We've changed what is influential here. What does this mean? Now you have to have an SSL security certificate. TLS, okay, whatever. Why do you need to worry about this? Well, does your website take text inputs and login panels, contact forms, search bars? All right, are you taking payments? Is your website in this version without the S there? Okay, it's a lot more than just a letter. Come on, folks. There's a lot more to this. Okay, if you have a lot of this not in place, your target audience can go to a page that looks like this instead of the actual website. They're going to be redirected and say, you know what, we don't think it's safe. So we're just going to say, you know what, you probably shouldn't come here. Now your bounce rate's going to go up, which just means people are not visiting your website. They're not checking you out. They're going to go find your competition because they're like, oh, they're safe. We actually have landed on their website, not this. The other side to this is the Google Business Listing. This is a mobile version of looking at a Google Business Profile. This is lined out in orange. It's the website. And this happens because you don't have a secure certificate. You don't have a valid SSL security certificate. Now it's starting to make sense why you need to secure your listing, because Google has made it more of a priority than they had back in 2015 when it was just optional. It was convenient. Might be a good idea to do this. Now, circa 2018, 2019, it is a requirement. So don't allow your company to fall victim to this. Stay on top of the security. So here's what we can do. Obviously, and I cater this talk a little bit to more of the executives who are probably not as technical, but stick with me here. So you set the SSL security certificate. Clearly, you know, we have this on the side of security. But after 2018, okay, and this is just an example to say, you know what, you can find a button on the back end. Companies have made this a lot easier to implement, okay? Just click a button on a lot of things. But now it's shifted over to dual purpose. Now it's a ranking factor. We've augmented the left-hand side a little bit. Now it's mobile responsive website, SSL, content, backlinks, and citations. We also talk about the vulnerability of if you're using a WordPress website. Nothing wrong with that. Do what you got to do. All I'm saying is it worth it to retain a WordPress website or to build it somewhere else where someone else's problem is maintaining the security? You know, I'd prefer to do that with third-party websites, but like a website builder like Weebly or Doodah, you know, something like that. But if you still want to have WordPress and you still want to maintain some of that control, go for it. Just start thinking about security through obscurity. Understand there's still over 43% of the World Wide Web still utilizing WordPress. That's why I keep this in this talk. Now, going back to the military side, because I served in the Marine Corps, it's what I think about. You have a difference between cover and concealment. In cover, you're actually hiding behind something, so if somebody tries to shoot an object at you, it's going to hit that before it hits you. Ideally, it's small arms fire, so you're not going to be shot with a bazooka or something, right? But with concealment, you can still hide behind something, but you're still vulnerable, okay? So if you can't fortify yourself and get some cover on your website, what's the next best option? Concealment. So is there another way that you could rename this without breaking your website? Is there another way you can rename this so it's not WP-login or WP-admin? Just food for thought. Start thinking about concealment. When that happens, now you're looking at content vulnerabilities. Because if somebody can get into your website, they can start jacking with what your customers are going to see. Probably not an ideal situation, especially if they've paid somebody like me a lot of money. This is actual proof of me actually having received large sums of money to write web content for someone's website. This is real. For the people who get this, there is money in there, and they will spend it to hire somebody like me to write it for them. That also means that if their website is down, that's a lot of money that is not being used to expand their digital footprint or help their company to grow. They're going to be upset. That's why this matters. So yes, we're still dealing with multi-factor authentication, 2FA, MFA, a lot of the standard things that we talk about because it's essential, it's important. That's why we talk about it all the time. Next, we're looking at the pattern of directory listings, which I found just from a little Google search of index of wp-content/uploads. I've done this and I've found a lot of listings of vulnerabilities that just auto-populate on Google. It's incredible how many people still don't have this hidden. So because of that, now you start seeing the pattern. I was hanging out in Anti-Siphon or a Black Hills Information Security Discord, one of the two. I don't remember which. They're not sponsoring this, don't worry. But I was hanging out with some pen testers. And I asked them straight up, why is this an issue? Why do you want to hide it? Believe it or not, one of these folders might actually contain a password, and I've found that before. I'm not saying you're going to find that all the time, but if you start seeing a pattern, you start looking at what kind of structure they have for their website, you can start manipulating that, find a vulnerable page, tinker with it a little bit, and it might be exploitable. So start hiding your directory listings. Check if a directory listing is accessible or even if it's ranked in Google, because that does exist. I've seen them displayed in Google. These pages have actually been listed in Google search. It's nothing more than just a big database. It's a card catalog. It's a digital card catalog of different websites and different pages on the website. Google found it. Google's indexing it. Now it's on full display for the World Wide Web. So when you actually hide this and you actually conceal this, or cover it, as it were. If people can't reach it, they can't see it. Whether you're on Nginx or you set it to auto-index for off, and every server is going to be different when you find this, you want it to redirect to something called a 403 forbidden. Again, not groundbreaking. We've all seen this stuff before in cybersecurity. So we have the obscurity here with a website vulnerability, which is going to protect the content that you spent so much money trying to acquire. We're going to go quick here because we're almost done anyway. Backlink vulnerabilities. We're back to the Majestic tool. This is still on the free version, okay? I think you can only get like one search a day, so utilize it. Stay on the page, have the resource, enjoy it, take screenshots, whatever you got to do. Now we're down here looking at the internal inbound links and referring domains. Let's come back to these metrics real quick, because this is really coming down to a golden ratio between these two numbers. There's a reason we come back to this. Because if you take the trust flow on the left here and you divide it by the citation flow on the right, what you're going to get is a ratio. And that ratio ideally would be closer to 1. Okay? That's how you're going to balance this out. You don't want one number to be so far skewed away from the other. That's why you start with somebody who's professional like me, building the backlink portfolio in an optimized manner from the beginning. It's not a guarantee that you're going to be massively successful or you're going to be massively fortifying this in a cybersecurity lens. What it is saying is you're taking an intelligent, repeatable, methodical approach to this and doing the best job you think you can, serving your company at a high level if you were going to do the SEO side. Looking at it from a cybersecurity lens, you want to make sure that the trust flow over here, the amount of trust, the value that you're getting out of your backlinks is not so far out of skew that you're going to start thinking, you know what, maybe I need to start getting rid of some of the low-quality backlinks. You might have to start out with a lot of them just to obscure it some from Google's search algorithm, because if you do this too perfectly, one of two things are going to happen. Likely. You're either going to get sandboxed with the company's website, which is going to stick you on like page 10 where you're at like rank 100 or something, and you're going to be stuck. You're not going to be able to move the website no matter how much you're working with an SEO professional. The other side is they're just going to take your website out of there and be like, you know what, you're doing something scuzzy, spammy, you're out of the game. You want to stay in the game and have your ship rise with the tide? Don't do things too perfectly. You got to optimize it by diversifying your backlink portfolio as you build it. So some low quality, some mid quality, some high quality backlinking, some different values that you get out of those. Diversify your anchor text, and that's just the tip of the iceberg, okay? That's why you have professionals in SEO, because they understand this game. They've been in it long enough, they've seen the bad, so they understand how to focus on the good. So what can we do? This is another tool called Ahrefs. This is actually one of the most expensive SEO tools in the marketplace. But you get to see the different domains that are pointing back to your website and you can see the domain rating, which is just another score value. See a lot of zeros here, right? Even though you have a chart that says, oh, you're getting more backlinks, more referring domains, another website is referencing you. That's a good thing, right? Not really, because if you look back at this list, you'll see nexttravel.in. I didn't highlight these. I just want you to take a look at them. But you also want backlinks that are native to your marketplace. So if you have a backlink coming from India, a one-off is not going to destroy you. But if you have backlinks coming from all across the world and your target market is isolated in a state or the country, you want backlinks that are going to be focused on that United States, .us, .com, .info, .edu. Not something that's going to be out of another country that's across the entire world that you're not servicing in the first place. Don't target the audience that you don't want coming to your website. It's not going to serve you or the company. So be looking for that if you want to utilize this tool and look at the domains. That's another vulnerability that you should be on the lookout for and avoiding in the future. So nexttravel.in is just a glaring example. Okay, you're probably not here. You're probably not targeting the United States. If you're targeting the United States for your target market audience, your buyers, and you have .com.au, I think, that's Australia, and I know because I've worked with some people in Australia, probably not the best service for your company if you're not serving any customers in Australia. Just another vulnerability. Take a look at that on the list here with Ahrefs. You can come back to Majestic, and you can look at some of these graphs here that you see. And if these graphs actually have a spike in them, like a really sharp spike, chances are somebody who's a bad guy who understands everything pre-2013, person with the most backlinks wins, they're going to say, you know what? We're going to destroy the competition. We're going to spend some money, and some people actually do this. They will spend some money, they will get a flood of backlinks to the competition. Sometimes that backfires. Okay, they're doing that maliciously, but sometimes it actually takes, and they get a ton of backlinks that are going to give them more credit. Now they're ranking higher, and they're outperforming the competition, not the desired effect that the bad guys wanted or the bad actors wanted, even if it's just your competitor. You're number one, they're number 5. They want to be number 1, so instead of doing the work to earn that spot, they're just going to try and take you down. But if it backfires on them, hey, thanks for that. But just keep in mind, if you see a spike in one of these charts, and I'm talking like a really sharp spike, like very close and narrow, then chances are somebody's tried to flood your website with a ton of backlinks. You may have to go look in the backlink portfolio using Majestic or Ahrefs, see what's actually referring there, and if you need to go through the disavow process on Google's tools, go ahead and do that. So that's basically a backlink vulnerability. At the end of the day, the backlink game is about getting more trust. It's not about having a flood of backlinks. But the way you get more trust, get more backlinks. So it really is this revolving circle. So just be conscious as you're going through this. So we look at the backlink value. Now we're looking at citation vulnerabilities. Not all citation locations are created equal. So you have third-party accuracy. Remember, you're matching everything from the Google Business Profile to all of these business listings. Name, address, and phone number, name, address, and phone number, website, web address to web address, so on and so forth. Some of these platforms, like Yelp, for example, they hold reviews. Yellow Pages hold reviews. There's an opportunity for you to be able to get reviews for these platforms. These platforms are trying to have more people stay on their platform. They actively market it. They actively cater to these people. That's also a bad thing sometimes, because in addition to this third-party accuracy, you also have attack and disrupt. What does that mean? One of the features of some of these places is they can actually take user input, user recommendations. What if that's your competition for your company? They're going to call these people and say, hey, we're still not recovered from the pandemic. Can you just list us as closed right now? We're in the process of getting it done. Are they going to validate that you're the owner? What if you're really good at social engineering and now you're trying to play an angle and say, you know what, I'm just really stressed right now. I'll call back later. I'll give you the paperwork, but just list it as closed now so our phones stop ringing. But your company and you guys didn't do that. The competition did, or a bad actor did. Now people are wondering, we had a lot of business coming from, like, we suck at SEO, but we did our citations really well. So all of our calls are really coming from Yelp or Yellow Pages or some of these other listings. Now they're not getting any more calls. Why not? Go check these and see if the information is accurate. Is your business still listed as open and not temporarily or permanently closed? Is the phone number and web address where you're trying to get audience to actually go and check you out, are they taking action on that, or is it listed as something else? Definitely legitimate questions. So here's what we can do. Well, here's what not to do when you're looking at citations. Don't go get some third-party monitoring tool to say, hey, we're just going to take a look at these third-party platforms. They're third-party platforms for a reason. They're doing all the work to maintain it, and they're building the value intrinsically because it's their baby, it's their resource. So let them do their work. But don't get one of these, because what's going to happen is somebody who's in charge and actually spent the money to do this, hey, here's a dashboard. What are they going to do? They're going to sit in their little cubicle or wherever they are working from, and instead of doing their work, they're just going to stare right at this platform. They're going to stare. It happens all the time. I've actually spent... I came back at the end of a quarter, I got somebody on one of this just to try it, just to see how they liked it. And they're like, it didn't move. I'm like, what are you talking about? Yeah, it didn't move. Okay, cool. It's third party. You're not supposed to care about if it's moving or not. They're like, no, nothing changed on it. I'm like, okay, so do you need this? Probably not. I'm like, what have you been doing in the meantime? Oh, I've just been staring at that. Okay. What's going on with your bottom line? I don't know. I'm not kidding. If I'm lying, I'm dying. It's crazy how many people are actually going to hyper-focus on this instead of actually doing their job to build their business or fortify their online presence, do cybersecurity, whatever their job is supposed to be. They're not doing that because they're focusing on a chart like this. Don't do this. Don't spend the money on it. It's a colossal waste of time, and it's a distraction. Do not do this. Instead, check on these websites every now and then. Maybe do 5 a week or 5 a day. And start a spreadsheet. Just check on them. Because if the photos are inaccurate, this is just a little chart that I made. I make sure that I diagram all of this, and I present it to the executive to say, hey, you're actually missing a few of these. Let me go back and update those. Pay me a little bit. I'll be able to do that. And you can do that in a freelance manner if you really want. There's nothing saying you have to be a full digital marketing agency to offer this kind of service. You want to do this as an internship, as a college student? Go for it. You want to do it as a little side project, make $500 on a month? Go for it. Still going to be a possible thing. And this is just another example of all those different business listings that you can do. Again, still have the multi-factor authentication, especially on these third-party platforms, of what you might be able to utilize. And that's basically it for this talk, because we've talked about expanding a digital footprint. We still have a mobile responsive website. It has to look at on all these different devices. Secure the website, content backlinks, and citations. Again, not rocket science. But you got to understand exactly the methodology behind this in order to be able to implement it in an effective way. And then we look at the right side here with elevated cyber resilience, just security. That's all we're looking at. How are we going to fortify this and protect it? In closing, the goal is, and always has been, expand the digital footprint and retain that digital footprint. How can you retain it if it keeps getting destroyed? So be thinking about that as cybersecurity professionals. This is a cybersecurity conference. Think about ways that you can keep it, ways that you can protect it, and ways that you can check it out. Go back and have a conversation with your executives or the marketing team. They're responsible for this. Have a conversation and ask them, is the website doing its job? Is it generating results that are going to be meaningful and impactful for the bottom line of the company? If not, have the conversation about expanding SEO, using the slides that you're going to have access to here in a moment. I've actually done this with a nonprofit case study. I've actually done SEO for a nonprofit organization, and it's actually worked out well. And I actually ranked a website or a YouTube video to the top. The YouTube video, just the image, because yes, it's an image that you can add here. Just save the image, whatever the file name is, the keyword that you want to rank for, and it's actually going to get some attention, believe it or not, just like it did here. So this was a very competitive search phrase, believe it or not. This is a little tool I used, and I understood that this is almost 100% difficulty. One of the most difficult in the world to rank for. I did it. Very little effort. And I'm not saying that to flex. I'm saying that to say that what you've learned today is actually still effective in the marketplace now. So my question to you is this. Isn't it about time that you started having the conversation with the C-suite executives and your peers, or maybe counterparts in different departments? So I want to thank you for staying to the end here, and as a result, you're going to get a nice little bonus. But wait, there's more. It's a free gift just for you guys. I'm actually going to take it down tomorrow morning when I wake up. I only reward this to people who actually show up to these conferences. I'm not kidding. I actually will take it down tonight, okay? So if you don't know where to start, you don't know who to trust, or it's unclear what things are supposed to look like, I am going to send you to this URL, which is bit.ly/35,000 feet special, honoring the very wonderful and reputable gentleman, Mr. James McQuiggan, who Dr. Gerald Auger sometimes references as James McQuiggan at 35,000 feet. He's a wonderful man. He's been influential in my life, and I'm grateful for his influence and positivity. So as a result, you're going to get a ton of freebies here. Number one being my slides. These are my old slides, but the pattern is still consistent. I just changed the beginning of it so you guys saw, hey, public speaking group, opportunity for you as cybersecurity professionals. Get a little bit of the governance, risk, and compliance here. You got some SEO suite, some information here. I actually put together a 15-minute overview on SEO fundamentals. Goes a little bit deeper in this, so you can actually start implementing this right away if you want to. And then if you want to see the case study for the nonprofit SEO, that link is here too. You also have a mobile responsive tool and a domain age check. You have some content tools, some backlink tools, Majestic and Ahrefs like we've covered. Back to the reference for what is the citation. If you want to have a conversation with your executive, you want to do this as a side hustle, you can actually show that and share that with an executive, somebody who has the purse strings, and say, hey, I understand what you're doing. I don't want to do it for myself. I'll just hire you to do it. Okay, cool. There's an opportunity. And then down here with the citation listing, this is the big bonus that I'm going to give you. You can open this, make a copy, download it, do whatever you want to do. It's over 500 of the best bang for your buck locations that you can list your company's business. Not all of them are going to be pertaining to you. Some of them are like for wedding photographers or photography-specific companies, okay? All I'm saying is go through this listing, see if there are opportunities to get a business listing for you. Try it. If it gets rejected, fine. Move the hell on, okay? Don't come back and say, hey, Chris, you gave me a listing and it doesn't work. How many did you do? 2? Go through the listing. Try it for the company that you're working for or your own online presence. At the end of the day, this is my gift to you, and I want you to stay motivated, stay positive, and at the end of the day, just understand, I want success for you and your organization. I applaud you for showing up live and sticking with me because I'm the only thing standing between you and some drinks tonight. I get it, but I want to thank you and reward you for all of this value and hard work because a lot of people traveled quite a distance to be here, including me. I traveled all the way from Detroit to help you all today. So thank you for being here. Thank you for taking care of yourself and investing in your future. Have a good day. So I know we went a little bit over time. Does anybody have any questions? No, y'all just want to go drink? Yep. It's fine. It's fine. Just want to give a chance if anybody had any burning question. Okay. I'm gonna applaud you guys because I'm proud of you. Good job, guys. Proud of you.